What do we do against villains all in with aces? Of course. I mean, that's the most important question, right? And I almost forget it. So is it 100% call, 100% fold, 50-50 between call and folding? Let's crush. All right, guys, here we go. The famous hand against C.Darwin, heads up $10,000 tournament. We already locked up around 230K, 70K more for first place, 300K. So definitely an important heads up. And we get pocket aces with a stack size around 20 to 25 big blind. I mean, 25 big blinds here. And yeah, let's dive into some heads up strategy. What hands do we limp with 20 to 25 big blinds? This is, of course, for you. I mean, I already solved these spots. I've already been looking into it. So yeah, I hope you guys can see it. I can see it really well. As you can see, you can zoom in, zoom out. So depending on the device you're using, you only got 60 seconds, 40 seconds left. I, of course, know the answers because I created the quiz myself. I create all these quizzes. So yeah, this is for you to test yourself here. And I give you 15 more seconds. As we can see, we limp really wide. The hands like aces, ace, king are supposed to be raises. As we can see, we always raise aces. So blunder on my side here already. I know that we are limping or we're playing close to 100% here. So we should take the highest frequency limping range here. This is correct. I can be proud of myself. Let's continue. Next questions. What hands do we raise first in? With 20 to 25 big blinds heads up. Okay, this is the typo on my end. This is going to be fixed. So yeah, is it going to be the suited 10x heavy and like around these middling high card hands? Is it going to be more around the bottom of suited high card hands? Is it going to be more, yeah, what is here? Here we have the more higher high card, offsuited high card hands like Queen 9, Jack 9. So 20 more seconds. I know that. Actually, I'm not so sure. It's definitely. Yeah, I think it's this one here. We actually raising a very high frequency with these, and for this I have an explanation video. So I'm gonna shut up, and for questions like this where I would consider that people might need an additional explanation, I've recorded additional videos where you can enjoy me explaining things. So the reason why we open hands like 9-4, 10-4, 10-3 suited is because we fold out better hands. We fold out 9-6 off, we fold out 9-5 off, and also raising hands like Jack 7 off, 10-5, 10-7 off. These are the hands we really don't mind raise folding. So we don't really want to be raise folding hand like Queen 10 off or Jack 10 off or King 10 off. And we get nice value from the lower hands like 6-7 off, 7-6 suited, 6-5 suited. A lot of these hands are going to be calling. We're in position. We have a lot of these hands dominated. So these are the two main principles why we open the middling part of the off-suited high card hands like Queen 7 off or even Jack 7 off, Jack 6 off. So we dominate a lot of the 9-6 suited, the 9-6 suited or 6-5 suited, or even then the 6-7 off. Also a lot of off-suited combinations. And also the 9-4, 9-3 suited folds out better hands. Same for the 10 deuce suited. So that's always a good orientation. Even the hands like 3 deuce suited, and they don't play too bad in position. So that's always a good rule of thumb, how you can remember what you should be open raising, what you should be limping with 20 to 25 big blinds playing heads up. All right, let's continue. So we got this correct. We limp. What is villain's response against our limp? And we see either a very high cut heavy raising strategy, the red is all in, green is 3.5x raise, or like very suited connector heavy. So it's either the second or the second or the first or second or third. Okay, think for yourself. Again, pause, take the time to think it through. It's a great opportunity for you guys to, really think it through. We see here in the middle a bunch of bluff raising with these bottom offsuited low card hands, 5-3 off. We see here on the left more raising with like 10-4 off, Queen-4 off. Or are we going to be raising here, also going more all in or going less all in with suited aces? It should be this one. Yeah. All right. So he checks back. We get this flop. Now, how often do we see bet? 90%, 55 or 75%. Again, pause for yourself. We're going to be c-betting 90%. Oh, sorry. No, 55. Yeah. I was still stuck pre-flop. I can't even solve my own spots. No, I was with 55, but I was just with high numbers here from the pre-flop. But again, I'm going to leave it out. I don't cut it out. Don't pretend that I get everything correct. All right, let's watch the explanation video. So as we can see, we're actually checking back a decent amount of the time. I mean, we only have 52.5%. At first, it might look like a great board for the in-position player. The out-of-position player has whiffed a lot. But as we've seen with the previous questions, that the 5 and the 3, especially 2 low cards, are connecting pretty well with big blind's checkback range. And also, as we can see here, yeah, in theory, we're supposed to be completing or limping or mixing between limping and raising and basically playing our entire range. And yeah, Queen 5-3, in general, 2 low cards, something like Jack 4 deuce, Jack 4-3, Jack 6-5, or like Queen deuce 3, are pretty bad boards for the in-position player. You rather want to have 2 high cards, 1 low card. This is always so much better than having 1 high card, 2 low cards, or worse would be 3 low cards. So here we have to be a bit careful because we're going to have a shitload of bad folds. So if you think someone is not so profound or doesn't really understand these kind of dynamics, you can go ahead and punish him a lot with raising. But for now, here, this board, we are going to be checking back a bunch. We see even some Queen X are checking back. We see a bunch of 5X checking back. We see a bunch of overcards like King Jack, King 10, King 9 are checking back. So just very important to keep that in mind if you play against a good opponent, that these kind of boards, you also want to be checking them back a decent amount of the time. Thank you, buddy, for jumping in and helping us out. I got it wrong, but I swear it was just a misclick. So we're not continuing on the turn. We actually now talk about what is he supposed to bluff raise. 8-6 off with 8 and hearts, Jack deuce, 10 deuce, and clubs. So having the backdoor flush draw and then overcut to the 5 and backdoor straight draw, or Jack 9 off, 10 9 off with 1 heart. Think for yourself, which are the hands that make the most sense? Might be 3, might be 2, might only be 1. So here you have, it's a little bit more difficult because you can select multiple answers. If you need more time, pause, think it through. I'm going to be sharing the answer in 5 seconds. So if you don't want to get spoiled, pause. Of course, these. So let's watch the explanation. So when it comes to the bluff raising for the out of position player, we see that Jack deuce and clubs is simply too weak, or 10 deuce and clubs. You want to have at least 2 overcards to the 3, even though Jack 4 and clubs is also not such a sexy raise. It's pretty much break even. I mean, look at the EV, 2.6 in a 441 chip pot is basically, it's break even. And in general, we see not so much raising, simply because the in position player is checking back 50% of the time. So he's not just betting everything, because he has whiffed this board a decent amount of the time as well. So this is a good board. If you think someone he doesn't really understand, he just bets everything, you can be way more aggressive. You can be raising 25 or 30% of the time if he bets everything, because as we see here, there are still a bunch of bet folds around the 10-7 off, 9-7 off, 10-6. So you still want to be checking back these kind of hands a decent amount of the time. And then around the gut shots, we want to be raising relatively aggressive, a 7-6. And then hands like 10-9, Jack-9 off with 1 heart are also decent raises. We see here we make at least around 13 to 21 chips, so it's way more than with a hand like Jack-4 clubs. You also block the immediate heart flush draws. You have decent playability on certain turns. You block some better Queen X hands, but also here we see the offsuited King X hands with 1 heart are also viable raises. So yeah, if you want to jump back and watch it again, you can just review the question. So he calls, turn is a Jack. This card is good for the big blind. Think for yourself, is it a good card for us? Good card for the big blind? True, false? I'll be sharing in 5 seconds, so pause if you want to think longer. It's of course false. I'll also explain that in the next question, diving a little deeper. On this turn, we mainly use one of the following sizings. Are we using like a half pot sizing, 80% or 125% overbet sizing? Also here, think for yourself. We're going to be using a 125% overbet, and we're going to be looking into the ranges here. So as we can see on this turn, we mostly overbet simply because same spiel as on the flop. We want to see overcards. And if we see a jack, if we see a king, perhaps on a 10 as well. Yeah. So king, jack, 10, and ace. Let's see on ace. Maybe we also do some small betting. No, even on an ace, actually, we go absolutely mental with overbets. So the jack, pretty good card for our range. Why? Because we bet a lot of jack X on the flop. We bet jack highs, right? We bet more jack highs, and our opponent is mostly folding all of the jack highs. So this gives us more jack highs, which we can even continue value betting against the 5 and the 3 for a decent amount of the time. But we're not going to be bluffing with jack high. So this also allows us to keep us bluffing with, let's say, 10-9, 10-8, 9-8, 9-7, even something like 9-6. We see we just remain very aggressive. And on, something like 8-7, 9-7 off even as well here, 8-6 off, just very random out of line bluffs. Aren't even out of line because they are theoretically approved, but it just really shows that this card just helps improving our entire range. And for that reason, we don't really have like protection bets, right? There's no need to protection bet a jack. If you're most opponents going to continue with a 5, so you still have a pretty big value bet here. So you can definitely go for a large overbet for value, and the same with like aces as I had it in this spot, and it's doing the same with your draws to apply maximum pressure on a 5 or on a 3. Let's continue. So I opted to go for the overbet, which is pretty standard. Turn is a 10, and now things are getting dicey. What are the thinnest value bets? Are we betting queen 9 off? Are we betting king queen? Or is pocket aces as an overpair our thinnest value bet? I mean, 2 pairs should be pretty obvious, right? I didn't want to implement that. So I want to still give you the opportunity to think about it. So it's a little bit tricky and not that easy. And we are going to be value betting at least queen 9 off and better. Because I've also seen some comments that, I wouldn't be value betting aces there. If you don't want to value bet aces there, you shouldn't be playing heads up. You shouldn't be playing tournaments to begin with, because it's very essential to find thin value bets in heads up. I mean, heads up is a different game than playing 6-max and 8-max. Ranges are wider, people are calling down wider. So you really need to get used to finding those thin value bets. And it's actually not a thin value bet. It's a crystal clear value bet. So we are definitely going to be value betting aces. If you are not value betting aces here, then you're doing something wrong, and that's the crystal clearest value bet. We see that it mostly wants to go all in, but if we look at the EVs, it's cherry picking. There's a difference of literally 30 chips in an 1800 chip pot, the way I'm using it here. I think the pot was 1.8 million. I was betting 900K. So going all in or betting 900K, there's basically a difference of just a few hundred chips, or a few thousand chips, sorry. So it's really not that big of a difference. So therefore, whatever you think, and I felt in this spot, betting half pot, I will get more calls, but it backfired, as you will see. So but going all in, definitely a viable place where king, queen, queen 9, also hands we want to go all in with. You also see aces, and queen 9 is almost identical in terms of the EV. It's not big of a difference. And main bluffs are going to be coming just from pure barrels here with 7-8 off. The 10 is another great card. We should remain really aggressive. We see here lots of overbetting, 60% of our range using overbet. So if we barrel 9-6 off, 8-6 off, we have to pull the trigger and just go all in. And aces and queen 9, definitely crystal clear value bet. One thing I also would like to mention that, for example, this is probably a much better spot to bluff with, let's say, 9-7 off or 8-6 off. If we also look here, the difference between checking, I'm just surprised, probably 8-6 off has a little bit showdown value against like 4 deuce and hearts that didn't raise, or 6 high flush draws or 7 high flush draws, like 7 deuce and hearts. But the difference between checking and betting, or let's take 9-7 off or 8-7 off, is like 60, right? So, I mean, there it's definitely worth considering it to bluff these hands. Whereas with aces, we see that the difference between going all in and betting half pot is 20. So it's 3 times better bluffing, let's say 9-7 off, than the difference it is with aces between betting big and betting half pot. So of course 60 chips here is also still very small. This is what I'm trying to teach over and over again. Even though it shows it as a full frequency crystal clear bluff, it's still very small. And the difference between betting aces half pot and pot size or overbet all in is even smaller, right? So we're really talking, we're diving really deep. And the moment your opponent starts, of course, hero calling more than a bluff with 8-7 off, even though it's theoretically approved, might turn minus EV. So if I get to the river with, let's say, my, king 4 off, I barrel it on the turn, because I see that, okay, Jack is a great card. I will keep barreling my 7-8. I will keep barreling some king highs, king 4, king deuce, and so on and so forth. But I'll be aware if I play against a calling station that I won't fire these bluffs. So I won't be like, oh, I need to be balanced here. No, because it's stupid, because then these hands will turn negative EV. And we see that aces, the difference between checking and going all in with aces is actually 120 chips. So then we see that value betting aces is mandatory here, and it actually favors going all in. The difference between going all in and checking is actually, there's quite a bit of a difference. It's not like the word, but it's definitely a clear value bet. But then whether you bet half pot or you go all in, there's just a small difference. It's still slightly better, and I don't want to deny it. It's probably better just to go all in, because we get these calls from queen 8, queen 7, queen 6 that didn't raise the flop, didn't raise the turn. And we also avoid the situation of facing all in. So I hope you guys have, wait, is there one more question? Let's see. What do we do against villains all in with aces? Of course. I mean, that's the most important question, right? And I almost forget it. So is it 100% call, 100% fold, 50-50 between call and folding? Let's see the explanation. It is literally whatever. Calling aces generates you less than 1% of the entire pot in terms of EV. So it is basically break even. It's flipping a coin. His main bluffs are coming from 9-3, 9-5, 8-5. It doesn't really like it, but it's kind of fine. It's where I would say he probably has better hands to bluff with. But I think 8-5, 9-5 here, blocking 9-8, blocking king 9, blocking 2 pairs. I think 9-5, 8-5 is not terrible. I think I understand his reasoning, so I think it's totally fine to find these bluffs here. And then we have, of course, king 3 is also a pretty good bluff, ace 3 as well, which should be calling flop and turn. Remember, I was overbetting the turn, so he still has a lot of the 2 pairs. He's not supposed to be raising a lot on the turn against an overbet. It's just something you don't really want to do. So he should still have a decent amount of 2 pairs on the turn. So on the river, he's going to be still having Jack 10 hearts, Jack 3 hearts, 10 3 hearts. Some of the slow play 2 pairs. He can easily have something rivered like the 10-5 off, right? The 10 threes has them fully in his range. Maybe not the 10-3 might start folding the turn, but the 10-5 for sure. So we see there are a bunch of potential value hands in his range. King 9 in hearts, of course. 9-8 in hearts, of course, if he didn't raise the turn. So he then needs to find these bluffs here. I think he's probably bluffing a lot with the king 3. And probably not bluffing like with a 7-3 or 6-3 here. But it's hard to say in general. This spot could be slightly minus EV, could be slightly plus EV. What I'm trying to tell you here is it is really whatever. This is not a spot I'm going to be studying in depth. I knew in game. it's probably, you can literally flip a coin. Then depending on the variance, if your opponent is bluffing, I mean, I know that Darwin is capable. So even though against an aggressive opponent, I know we're not going to be printing a lot of bluffs. We're not going to be printing a lot of money. So this is just how it is. And sometimes you have to accept the fact that you play against opponents that will play hands better than you and will bluff you off a hand. And this was just how it is. And we see the solver doesn't really like calling with aces. It essentially, if let me just resize it. So if we see from all the hands, he really wants to call the queen X as well. And I felt like a queen X hand would be much better in the aces, even though wants to fold a decent amount of the time as well. So yeah, in theory, I mean, I didn't have like a particular read that he's over bluffing these spots. So he did also what I would consider a somewhat theoretical proof bluff. So there's no reason for me to, deviate from, let's say, I'm going to be calling aces every single time. So when you would, if you would think, oh, just because I have aces, I'm committed on the river, you definitely have big flaws in your game, because we see that it's not such a great bluff catcher. So that's where I decided to fold. Unfortunately, he had a bluff this time, and yeah, this time we got owned. Yep, you got owned, buddy, and you suck shit. So let's maybe have one more final look into also what is really weird is that the reason why you see that aces is slightly better in terms of VV, this is something I should have explained, is that we see that queen 9 off supposed to value jam the river. Or is it a bluff actually? No, it's supposed to be a bluff. And this, I just don't think this is ever happening here, that queen 9 starts turning into bluff, or queen 4, queen deuce. And then, of course, aces in terms of VV becomes better. But I just don't think this happens. So I think, or I'm pretty sure that king queen has a higher V, queen 9 has a higher V calling, because he's either calling or folding a queen. I don't think he's shoving it. So that's where queen 9 or calling king queen is going to be better in reality than pocket aces. And I would have called king queen, and I prefer folding aces every single time, and I would just call it off with king queen. It's just like, yeah, a king queen, you block the 2 pairs. It's so much better. You still unblock those goofy 5-8, 5-9s, right? Or queen 9. I think king queen is probably, ace queen, king queen are just so much better bluff catchers. So in case you wonder why in this sim here it shows aces with 37.4 versus minus 22, and I say that the queen X are better bluff catchers, that's the reason why. This is super unrealistic that these queen 4, queen 9, like 10% frequency jams on the river are happening. I don't think this is the case, and I think that some very realistic assumptions. And let's see, is there one more question? Nope. We got a score of 88. My scores are not being counted anyway. We got a leader, no leaderboard. The quiz is not public yet. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I think it's a very interesting hand, lots to learn. And yeah, let me know in the comments, what would you have done? Would you have value bet in the first place without seeing this video? Let's be honest here. Would you have caught it off on the river? Just share how you think about this hand. Always interesting to see. Keep it respectful, and then let's engage in the comments, and then see you guys hopefully soon on Twitch again. I'll be streaming more also now during the summer. I had a great vacation in Germany, and then see you guys at the tables. Bye bye.